Hello again, lovely members. I'm Jodie, the owner of Sensing Angels group that you're in at the moment. So thank you for joining us and thanks for being a member of the group. Today's discussion, there's so many people that just need to know about their loved ones, and I just wanted to have a quick chat with you and perhaps answer some of your questions. It's not going to be a reading. There'll be no spiritual readings. It's just a little bit about sort of any questions you might have about what happens to them when they pass over and things like that. And I will try to answer those as best I can for you without sort of going into an actual reading as such. Hi, Jasmine. So yeah, you've got Jodie from the Sensing Angels group, the page that you're a member of here. I'm the owner. And just a little bit about myself. I am a life coach, business coach. I do hypnosis, spiritual guidance, counselling and readings and all sorts of things. And I do notice that a number of you go to follow my private profile after these live videos, and thank you. It's nice that you've done that. However, you're probably better to follow the Sensing Angels public fan page to connect with me more there. Okie dokie. Hi Jane, hi Nina. So again, we're talking about any questions that you might have. This is not for readings. It's about questions that you might have about your loved ones when they pass over, like what happens to them and any questions that you might have. So throw me some questions on what you would like to know. I don't have all the answers, and everybody gets things in different ways, share things in different ways. And I must remind you that there's a lot of experienced and inexperienced readers on our page. So please take the messages with a grain of salt. Please be considerate to our readers who are trying to develop their skills. And what I will say to that is that, and for those of you that are wanting to tune into your skills a little bit more, is to think of it like a muscle. So the more you exercise that muscle, the stronger it becomes. Okay? Hi Tan, hi Elizabeth. Annalise, without being rude, how can anyone know till we die? Well, that's true. There's actually an article on in the group page around experiences that people have had with near-death experiences, hypnotherapy that they've gone through to express their their experiences that they've had. So I would suggest having a read through that. That's in our files section of the group. We've got a heap of articles in there, a lot of information for you. Lucy Dean, hello. Hi Cynthia, Louise, Nina Lee Brooks. I think my grandma visits me in my dreams. She stopped when my grandpa died, but recently I've had more dreams of her. Okay, so with dreams is one of the easiest ways for spirit to come through to us. Basically, when you're asleep, you don't have any conscious thought that interferes with your being. So it's easier for spirit to come through to you and reach you through your dreams in that way because of that. Hope that helps, Nina. So again, we're not doing any readings. We're just talking about experiences that you might have or questions you might have around past loved ones. What happens to them? Where do they go? What happens? I will particularly, a lot of our own grief can inhibit what we see or notice. When we're anxious to see signs from our loved ones, we may not notice them, but they come to us in so many different ways. It could be a smell, it could be a feeling, it could be a thought that pops into your head, all of those sort of things. It could be a song, some music that'll make you, or anything that sort of happens that might make you think of that person. Could be them trying to reach out to you. I'm just scrolling through to see if there's any more questions. It's interesting because when you're doing a live video on something completely different, you get like lots of questions, and then when you actually do a specific video on those sort of questions, they don't come through as much. Jane Wald says, my late dad keeps whispering in my ear. I don't know what he's trying to tell me. Okay. I would suggest maybe doing a meditation. There's a world of them on YouTube. Perhaps try a few keywords like connecting with loved one, meditation, things like that. Or, just think to yourself or speak out loud, can you be clearer, please? Help them out, give them a little bit of instruction on how to connect with you better. It's like, well, I can't hear you, I can't understand you, can you show me in a different way? So perhaps try out asking and doing different things that way. Leona, hi Jodie. So when our loved ones come to us in dreams, they are trying to send us a message. It's actually them. Well, I would say yes and no. Yes, in some instances, definitely. In other instances, it could be that it's your own subconscious that's bringing these things up for you and being presented to you in a way that you're going to connect with. So it's a bit of a catch-22, if that makes sense. Yes, they can come to you in dreams, and yes, they can come to you because of what's going on for you as well, where it's almost like you've created them to be there to be your support person, if that makes sense. So there's a few different ways you can experience that. Just another thing, Jane, with the experience that you've had of your dad whispering in your ear, when that happens, just have a think about what are you thinking about at that moment? What's going through your mind at that moment? Because sometimes you can connect those signs with what's happening for you at that time, if that makes sense. Kathy Reger says, I have dreams that come true. Premonitions. Yep. Very good. We're not doing readings at this moment. We're just having a chat about what happens to our loved ones when they pass, and any experiences that you might want to ask a question about. This is not a reading. It's just trying to give you some information on how to potentially interpret the signs that you see, or you might have a question around whether or not you're seeing signs. As I said before, they can be presented in many different ways. And just because you think that they should come to you in a certain way doesn't mean that they will. There'll be many other things happening that you may not even have conscious awareness of that's happening for you, and you don't actually notice. Again, in our files section of the group, there is a heap of information, a heap of documents that really, some of them go into quite a bit of detail around different sorts of experiences. It's just a world of information, so do check it out. There is some great stuff there. Just scrolling through. Hi Pam, hi Tracy. Ricky Tyner, I got told a woman was watching over me and always will, but I don't know who. How do I find out? So is it that you're sensing that someone's watching over you, or that somebody else has told you that someone's watching over you? Because if you sense that there's someone watching over you, then I would look at, what sort of things pop up into your mind, or when you have that feeling, what were you doing at the time? Was there something that you can relate to your thoughts or your actions that might relate to potentially that person that's passed, that spirit that's with you? And, some people pick up past loved ones around you. Some people pick up spirit guides around you. Sometimes it could be the same person. So yeah, like some people can tune, like a reader can tune into that information. Not all can, and that's something else too, is like different readers pick up different things. Not everybody's the same. Information comes to people in different ways. That it's what do I say? See, feel, hear, and know. See, feel, hear, and know is just some of the ways that people can get messages. Like when I'm doing mediumship work, it can come to me in a multitude of ways. I will hear things, I will feel things, I will have flashes. Sometimes it's a photo image, sometimes it's a movie image. So it really all depends on the energy of the spirit as well. And that's another thing too. If you're wondering why your photo's not getting a reading or no one's connecting with that person, it may just be that the reader and the spirit haven't come together as yet, because our past ones, loved ones, vibrate at a much higher level than what we do. And depending on ourselves or depending on the reader and what their vibrational levels is, they've got to kind of meet each other halfway in the middle so that they can connect. That's why some readers will be able to read someone really easily and really well because their energies connect well, but then you would go to a different photo and you may not get anything. But somebody else might come in and connect with them easily. It's all about the different vibrations that we have, what spirit has, and that coming together and meeting in the middle. Went off on a little tangent there. Tan, what's Tan say? I had a near death years ago and it was the most life-changing experience. I'm currently learning to develop my skills as a medium with lots of meditation, but it's a very slow process for me. Any advice? Tan, send me a message, send me a private message, and I do have a sister development group that may be able to help you with those, where we really focus and concentrate on those sort of things a little bit more so than what we do in the big group. Nina says, Nina Brooks, is it strange for a loved one to visit you didn't consider yourself very close to? I don't think it's strange at all. What I will say to that is any concerns, worries, health elements, things like that person had while they were on this earth don't exist over there. So you may have still got some conscious thought around those issues, but they don't have that anymore. They've gone through a healing process when they've passed over. So perhaps they want to connect with you on a new level now. I hope that makes sense for you. Kristen Morris, what does Kristen say? What does it sound like when your loved one is speaking to you? I hear my love like a whisper in the back of my mind. Is that possibly him? Yes, it could be possibly him. And in a sense, I can't really answer your question because it comes to people in many different ways. So just because I say that it happens or might happen in one way or a certain way, that doesn't mean that it can't happen differently for other people. And that's also something that you all need to remember, is that we all have our own interpretations of what we see, feel, hear and know when we're getting messages through. And that's why you'll find that some readers might ask questions like, I'm seeing a yellow flower, does that mean anything to you? Because essentially it doesn't mean anything to the reader, but it could be a very specific meaning to you. So it's really interesting when we are doing readings and things like that, because there can be some random things that come through that don't make any sense whatsoever to us, but it doesn't actually need to make sense to us. It needs to make sense to you. Michelle Tajin, I have a question about when you were doing the last video. I asked if I would see my daughter again and the answer was no. She passed last summer. When I die, I won't see her. Well, perhaps what that could have been is in the sense, Michelle, that will you see her again? Well, physically, you won't see her again. So that could be why you got that answer at that time. Let me just read your question here. I have a question about when you were doing the last video. I asked if I would see my daughter again, and the answer was no. She passed last summer, so when I die, I won't see her. You'll see her when you pass over, Absolutely. See all our relatives, loved ones, and all of those sort of things. So yeah, you will see her, but you won't see her physically until that time. And that's another thing with pendulum readings. We really need to be very specific about the question that we're asking. Okay? Ricky Tyner, someone else has told me but hasn't told me who was watching. Oh, sorry, that was in your response to what we were talking about before. About 5 more minutes, guys, and I'm going to end this one. Leona asks, how do you know it's a spirit guide versus your loved ones? That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't have the answer to that one, but I do know that there would be people out there that do have a better answer than what I have to give you. Jane Wald asks, do you believe that Dad gets in our car as we smell Old Spice? Well, that's one of his signs. If you relate Old Spice to your dad, then that's him showing you that he is around. So yeah. Nina Brooks, you're awesome. Thank you. I'll take those compliments anytime. Hi, Josephine Stanford. Angela Rouse, I some past 4 months ago. Can you tell me if he's trying to give me signs? I can't tell you at the moment whether or not he's trying to give you signs without tuning into you, and for that reason, because I'm not tuning in and doing readings at the moment, my conscious mind is telling me that because it hasn't been long since he's passed, and depending on the circumstances of how he passed, he may actually still be in healing. So just quickly, when people pass over, they go into a healing process, and they heal their earthly concerns and worries and things that's happened to them throughout their lifetime, and they get the learnings and experience and knowledge from that, and they heal from that. Once they've gone through that healing process, and no, I can't put a time on that, because in the spirit world there is no time. We might be grieving and wondering these things for years, but for spirit there is no concept of that time. Where was I going with that? So they go into a healing process, and after they've gone through that healing process, that's when they start to create the energy that they need to be able to connect with their loved ones on the earth. So you might find some people might experience readers when they're trying to connect with someone, it's like the signals dropping in and out. That could be because that spirit is still learning themselves on how to project their energy and how to reach through the different elements. And that's one reason I said before that dreams are usually the easiest ways for spirit to first come through to us, because we don't have that conscious barrier of what we think should happen and things like that. So there's so many different elements and aspects that can affect how we reach our loved ones, how they communicate with us and things like that. But they do grow stronger as time goes on. So don't be disheartened if you haven't heard from your loved one. There's another experience where a medium will try and connect with a past loved one, and somebody else might step through because their energy and their healing processes has been done and they're a lot stronger. They may actually be the gateway to opening the door to help bring that other spirit, the one that you're wanting to speak to, through. So don't be sort of discouraged or make light of the fact that somebody else may come through for you rather than the specific person that you want to. It may be that they're helping that person come through. It may be a connection to other people that can come through. It's all an interesting process. Okay. Kristen Morris, thank you. How is it? Ricky Tano, I've lost 3 babies. What happens when they don't make it? Do they grow? Like, will I ever meet them when my time comes? Sorry for questions. That's okay, Ricky. I will say that I have seen and heard some very good answers to that question. I do not have the knowledge to give you around that, and I say that because I've seen other people do it better. And like people have different views of what happens. Sometimes people have seen their child as like they might grow, but I think part of that is spirit comes through to us in ways that we will recognize. When in your situation they haven't had time to develop, or you haven't been able to create a conscious image of them, they might try different ways of coming through to you and showing you in different ways. Like, for example, past loved one has passed. He may be 80 years old at the time when he passes, but when a reader tries to connect with him, they're seeing him as a 50-year-old. That might be the image that he wants to create or be remembered as in that time. So with a child, in those circumstances, you might have a child come through and they might be seen as 3 years old or 5 years old, but it may be the perception that they want to give you to comfort you as well. So there's a lot of variables and there's a lot of explanations around that topic. Okay, and I'm sorry, I don't have all the answers to that one. Susie Kaufman, but I'm seeing triple-digit numbers left and right. I even avoid the clock, but numbers still pop up somehow. I know what you mean. I do. I get them all the time. It's they can have multiple meanings too, and there is a numbers document in our file section on the group that you can have a look at if there's a specific number that keeps coming up for you. It usually holds a message. It can hold a message from spirit, it can hold a message from your angels. It can just reinforce things that are going on around you at the moment, depending on what the numbers are. There's a website called Sacred Scribe. It does angel numbers. Awesome site. I go there all the time just to look up things because I get that many numbers, reoccurring numbers all the time. It drives me a little bit batty sometimes, but it's awesome at the same time. Michelle Tajan, thank you so much. I have been freaking out. I can't tell you thank you enough. And Michelle, if I could remember what I just said to you, that'd be awesome. Sorry. When I go through these experiences, stuff just comes out of my mouth, and then after I'm finished, I'm thinking, what did I say? But I'm glad you connected with it and it helped. Jane Wold, okay, thank you so much. You set my mind at rest. Thanks for helping. And, that's why I wanted to do this short session, to just kind of help you guys out a little bit to understand what happens. And Christina Hodge, thank you. Angela Rouse, thank you. Claire Noel, thank you. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to take a little break now, and then I'm going to come back and do some mini card readings because I'm just on a roll tonight. And catch you real soon. Hope you've enjoyed this and I hope it's helped. Thank you.